having more open-minded conversations rather than just having my own view.
Something she's learning though is she did learn from us that hey, you can have your own views even if you're wrong.
Hugh says that even when they disagree, he's proud of Carrie for making up her own mind. To read more about the Coopers, to cbc.ca/London. That's the CBC News. I'm Kate McGilvery. Here's the weather forecast for Toronto, Hamilton, and Niagara. Sunny today with a high of 16 degrees. This evening, increasing cloudiness with a low of 5 overnight. And on Monday, a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 13. And in Peterborough and the north, it's mainly sunny this afternoon with a high of 15. Tonight, cloudy with a chance of showers and a low of 4. And on Monday, mix of sun and cloud, high of 11. You're listening to CBC Radio on 99.1 FM in Toronto. Everyone in this world is really going to die. Death is not losing. Death is a part of life. It is a natural thing. And if you can make room for that, if you can experience it with the knowledge of that, as opposed to this gritted teeth, nothing's ever going to get me attitude, then you have space, I think, for beauty and love and acceptance. Yes, death will get us all, sooner or later. I know. It's not something you really want to think about, right? And that's actually, well, kind of a luxury, choosing to avoid the inevitable. Because when you come face to face with the end, you got no choice but to stare mortality square in the eyes. I'm Pia Chattopadhyay. Today on Out in the Open, you're going to meet people whose close calls with death changed everything for them in life. And I can tell you what they learned by cutting it so close will not bring you down. It will inspire you. And man, is Mary Elizabeth Williams ever a testament to that? In the summer of 2010, she noticed a scab on her head. It wasn't going away, so Mary Elizabeth got a professional opinion. Her dermatologist took one look and said 4 words that would change her life. That looks like cancer. Turns out it was melanoma. Mary Elizabeth had surgery and recovered. And then
7 years ago, I was re-diagnosed with melanoma, and that was when my life really changed. My first diagnosis, of course, was shocking and terrible and upsetting, but it was the second diagnosis that really upended everything, because 7 years ago, if you had metastatic melanoma, you probably had about 6 months to live. Conventional cancer treatments like chemotherapy tend not to work very well on melanoma. It is a particularly resistant to treatment kind of a form of cancer. So I was at the beginning of the school year with my children and really facing very poor odds of being there with them for the end of it.
sounds like an odd question, but what was that like? What are those years like? You're going through treatment for a couple of years, and you knew that you could potentially, and in your case, likely die from all of this. Like, you didn't have sort of the hope and the data for some people who have cancer. This was like, you're probably going to die from this, Mary Elizabeth. What were those years like for you?
They weren't great. It was very, it was really surreal. It is, for me anyway, it is a very surreal experience because you still have the day-to-day obligations and pleasures and joys and frustrations, but then you'll be in the shower washing your hair and wondering if you're going to live to see the bottom of that bottle of shampoo. It's like that. It's very stressful. It's wondering, is this my last birthday? Is this age that I pass on my birthday the end point of my born in this year, died in this year? Is this the number that's going to be in my obituary? All of those things I would think about on the regular. And what's going to happen to my kids? And what are they going to be like if they grow up as young women without a mother?
Thinking about your
for everyone, but what I have noticed is not this kind of big bucket list sense of the big picture, but a really deep, profound appreciation of the small picture, a really deep appreciation of just being able to maybe sometimes drink a cup of coffee in the morning in quiet, or just watch a TV show with my children, or just, take a walk, or cook in the kitchen with a glass of wine in my hand. Those things seem so precious because those are the things that make my life beautiful.
So you start appreciating the little things, which take on a deeper meaning for you. But then 3 years ago, a big bad thing happens to you and your family. Your daughter, who's 16 at the time, gets sick, yeah? Really sick?
Really, really sick. She came home one day sick. She said she didn't feel well. She crawled into bed. She had a fever. The next day, she still felt sick, and I made an appointment for the doctor. And we didn't make it to the doctor because she went into septic shock. She went into severe sepsis based on strep throat. And that was a real learning curve as well. You do not expect an otherwise healthy 16-year-old to almost die and spend 36 hours in the emergency room and 5 days in the ICU because of a very common winter ailment that a lot of us get all the time. But here we are.
Here you are. She's literally like, she could have lost her life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she was, her doctor said this was a life-threatening situation.
So it's, well, I imagine it's one thing to survive a near-death experience yourself, as you did, the kind of cancer you had, but it is quite another to then see your kid, your daughter, go through one of her own near-death experience. For you, Mom, what was that like to see her go through that?
Oh, I always say I would take 1,000 stage 4 cancer diagnoses on myself than spend 1 minute looking at my child in the emergency room hooked up to a room full of equipment and tubes and things that go ding. It's just a completely different outside your body experience when it's your child. And I think most of us would say that we'd much rather go through it ourselves than see someone we love so deeply go through it. It's the most powerless feeling in the world.
I imagine, Mary Elizabeth, after having my kid go through something so serious, having such a close call, that I would probably become a more paranoid parent. Did you?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm great. I definitely am completely cool when she's out there, out of my sight. Yeah, no, I absolutely have become a much more paranoid person,
Yeah.
a much more worried person. I wish that I hadn't, and I do often apologize to my daughters for being a much more fretful person now than I was before. My husband said the other day, he said, do you even remember what it was like before we knew that we could all die any moment? And I said, kind of. I think it was nicer than this.
I imagine balancing that with anxiety is a pretty tricky balance to achieve on a day-to-day basis.
It is. It really is. And I'm very open about that after my daughter had another near brush with death this past winter with a separate heart condition. And after that, I had to go on anti-anxiety medication, and I was already in therapy, and I got a diagnosis of PTSD. And I had a couple of months where I was really, really deeply struggling in a way that I never understood before what PTSD can do to your brain and to your ability to function, to your ability to sleep, to your ability to just process information in the day-to-day of your life, but to also live with the presence of that delicacy, of that preciousness, means that then you can talk about it and to openly experience suffering. It makes people very uncomfortable, and yet we all suffer, we all grieve, we all get sick, we all have these traumatic events. Maybe it's violence, maybe it's illness, maybe it's you lose everything somehow, your fortune, your job, your marriage. And what I am very aware of now is everybody goes through that, and it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to experience it. And when you do talk about it and you are open and honest about it, then you are saying to other people, it's okay for you to be open and honest about it too. It's okay for you. When you're with me, you are in a safe place where you can talk about what happened to you in your experience.
You've been talking about how it has changed you, but you also said, your husband and you were talking the other day, like, remember what life was like before? So if I said to you, Mary Elizabeth, like, how has having these close call, your daughters, yours before that, how's it changed you? What would you say to me?
I love when people say, knowing what you know now, if you had to do it all over again, would you do it? Would you go through these experiences? Because I feel like I've learned and grown through mine, and I'm always like, no, absolutely not. If I could go back to not knowing what it's like to watch your kid almost die in front of you, I would pick that for sure. But I don't have that choice.
And you've heard the cliche, they go something like, I'm living my best life now after surviving cancer, after my kid almost died. Like, we figured it all out. Life is great, the grass is really green, the sky's really blue. I'm living my best life.
Right? You see that on Instagram all the time.
I see it in the card store, I see it on television.
Right? All that great inspirational stuff that I always feel must have been written by people who never really went through it. There's this writer I really love, Rob Sheffield, and he wrote a really beautiful book called Love is a Mixtape that was about his experience of having his wife die very suddenly when they were in their early 30s. And he says, the saying is, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And he said, that's not true. Whatever doesn't kill you wrecks you, ruins you, makes you weak and complaining and difficult and traumatized. And I feel like that's kind of true in a lot of ways. Whatever doesn't kill you kind of messes you up and roughs you up in really significant ways. But what it also does, it doesn't make you live your best life, but I think it does, I hope it does give you more generosity of spirit. I hope that it does give you the ability to, when you see someone else who looks like they're drowning, reach out your hand to them.
So you have now been cancer-free for about 6 years?
Yes.
You're healthy now, and your eldest daughter's healthy.
Yeah. Today, knock on wood, yeah.
She's out. You just sent her off to college.
Yeah, freshman in college, my little baby girl, yeah.
Big step for any parent. So now when you sit at home, Mary Elizabeth, and drink your cup of coffee and appreciate that small act of loveliness, and you think about your daughter off at college, you lean back and you think to yourself, what have I learned from these years of multiple close calls with death? What do you think you've learned that you might not have had these things not happened?
I have learned that I am really going to die. I have learned that everyone in this world is really going to die. And that when you go to the doctor and you hope for more time, you pray for more time, always, absolutely. But when we couch our conversations, especially around healthcare, in terms of simply beating it or surviving it or beating cancer or beating the odds, something's still always going to get you. I have a very strong sense of when you survive something really catastrophic, it's not necessarily because you're a stronger, better person, you prayed better, you did something, you drank more green juice or whatever. It often just comes down to crazy odds, crazy luck, crazy science, crazy good fortune. And one thing that I have become really adamant about is how much I hate the phrase lost her battle to cancer, because cancer is not a battle and no one loses. Death is not losing. Death is a part of life. It is a natural thing. And if you can make room for that, if you can experience it with the knowledge of that, as opposed to this gritted teeth, nothing's ever going to get me attitude, then you have space, I think, for beauty and love and acceptance. Last year, one of my very best friends died of cancer, and it was awful, and I hate it, and I miss her so much. couch with her IV hooked up to her and had all the people she loved around her, and we all told her how much we loved her, and we basically did our eulogies in front of her, and that would not have been possible unless she was willing to say, I'm going to die, my time is short, let's appreciate it. That's what I've learned.
Graduated from high school and was getting ready for a new chapter in his life. It was 2005, and then he was in a head-on car crash with a bus. Kevin ended up injuring his back, suffering from a protruding disc and sciatica. He was in a lot of pain, constantly. Kevin was prescribed painkillers. They helped, so much so Kevin says he felt like he couldn't live without them. But Kevin says he was also hooked. He'd spent every single day after his prescriptions ran out finding ways to get more pills. His habit cost him at least $500 a week, and it went on for 6 years, until Kevin overdosed when he was 25 years old.
My parents tried to stage a intervention, really not educated on how to properly do it, but they kind of basically stormed in my room and started yelling at me and telling me that I had to leave for 3 years to a program that I wasn't willing to go to. And I had two options, to either leave that second or to get out of the house. And I didn't really have anywhere to go. I was like, you know what, I was kind of felt attacked, and I was like, I'm leaving. So I stormed out of the house. I put my safe on my shoulders. I was like the middle of November, it was freezing out, and I was pretty much high as a kite. And I left the house in shorts and a t-shirt and a book bag with sneakers in it, and my safe on my shoulder with my money and my prescriptions, and stormed to my friend's house. I told my best friend's mother, that my family was being unfair and they kicked me out. And she said there was no problem, I could stay there as long as I needed to. And she cooked me a bowl of macaroni and cheese that night, and I fell asleep. And it should have been the last meal of my life. They found me face first in my own vomit, blue, completely unresponsive in the morning, and they called the ambulance and rushed me to the hospital, where in the ambulance actually my heart stopped and they had to revive me and bring me back to life. And then they got me to the ICU, which I spent 3 weeks in a coma fighting for my life.
Wow. I mean, no OD is good. This is, a particularly bad one. Very close to death is where you found yourself.
Well, I was 3 weeks completely unresponsive, but I aspirated, I seizure, and I had multi-organ failure. My liver, my kidneys, my lungs were all failing. I had 108 fever. My brain was frying. I had less than 30% oxygen to my brain that whole entire time. My blood pressure plummeted. My kidneys and liver weren't filtering my blood properly, and I developed sepsis of blood, and my blood was actually toxic to my body, and it was poisoning me from the inside out. And my limbs started swelling up with fluids and turned black, and from the edema and from the sepsis of the blood, and they just didn't think I was going to make it.